ho. It's kind of scary, isn't it? It is, isn't it? And we're not even aware of it. Because we don't teach it. We don't teach it to dietitians even. Because even there, marketing efforts are being extended into the schools that teach dietetics. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
Yes, it is. We're kind of geared to the Western culture, and we promote drinking milk, eating cheese, animal products, and with the WIC program, we've had to push to get $25 for fruits and vegetables for children. Before, it was $9.
Wow.
Tell us what your profession is.
Oh. I'm a registered dietitian for San Bernardino County Public Health Department for the WIC program.
And then you came into our U-turn program, and what happened?
Well, I've been aware of Whole Foods for a long time, but this has got me charged up, and so now I'm totally always promoting the aspect of, for our young moms and our children. And I tell them, they don't need potato chips. What you do is bake a potato, and you slice it like a wedge, and then you give it to the little person, and they can gnaw on it, and that's better than those fries that you buy them.
Very good.
This is, yeah, you get fired now. Not for me. But you see, that's the official position of a dietitian who has practiced that for years and years and years, and now begins to really see the full value of really making a break with traditional concepts that were taught and that you then taught to others, right? Yeah. Oh, look at this one here. The corn chips, right? This is just 9 ounces. It's just a little bit more than a tube of Pringles. This is 1,440 calories. I talked to a medical student and I asked them, how long would it take you to eat those Pringles? Those 1,400 calories? They said, oh sir, we just inhaled them. They're gone. And then they began to argue over it and said, well, let's agree on maybe 10, 12 minutes, and they're gone, okay? And so I said, look at this, it's a lot of salt. You should have more than probably 3,000 milligrams. This is 5,000 just in one tube of Pringles. And look at the fat, 90 grams, and many of my colleagues that are really progressively looking at a change in lifestyle, they recommend we shouldn't have more than 35 to 45 grams of fat for the whole day. This is 90 grams in just one tube of Pringles. Do you know how I feel when I'm going to Stater Brothers and I have a lady in front of me? She has 2 little kids running around. I think this must be coming from the potato chip companies. No, we talked about, what did we talk about?
Stater Brothers.
Stater Brothers? Yeah, do you know how I feel? Do you know how I feel? I see a lady with 2 little children, and I look at the cart, it's loaded with junk food. I mean, and Pringles on top, and look at this, I feel like saying, lady, don't you know, you have those kids, don't you know, what are you trying to do to these kids? But I can't do this because they would send me to an asylum. Because we have so become accustomed to these cultural things. And I think we need to become courageous and begin to live in our own skin and make the changes. We are not in a position to tell other people what to do, but you can be a role model.
Amen.
I might tell you on the test what you should do, but because I do this as a healing procedure, because you came to see me and you say, look, my blood pressures are high and my overweight is there. What can I do to turn things around? And then I will write to you, do this, this. But you cannot do this to the general public. They sent you to the asylum, right? So I just want you to to understand that the only way that we can change people is by being role models. Let them see that your weight is coming down, right? Like with this lady here.
Yeah.
How much? Do you want to tell us how much you used to weigh?
413 pounds.
413 pounds. How much do you weigh now?
320 now.
But it takes a change in how we eat. Has your medication come down?
I used to have 2 pages of medication, now I only take 3 medications.
Do you hear this? 25 medications, 2 pages of medications listed. No, she's only taking how many?
3.
3 medications. She's not a favorite of the drug industry. And she's feeling great, right?
I'm feeling great.
Amen.
I can see, I got my vision back. I don't have to wear glasses. I wore glasses for 44 years for night driving. I couldn't see at night. And I can hear. I used to couldn't hear because I had to have all these devices at home and cell phone devices. I can hear. My feet, I had neuropathy in my feet. Just by being in the program from May to July, I don't have no more neuropathy.
Amen.
A new person, energetic. The pastor of an Adventist church in Orange County asked this non-Adventist lady, would you mind and come and tell our people in the Adventist church in an afternoon program what we should do? Can you inspire them? Folks, Adventist people used to be the leaders in this whole movement. Now we're turning to our non-Adventist friends and say, can you please help us Adventists to get back on track? Are you with me there? That's why when I retired, I said to my wife, I don't do any more teaching. Maybe I'll do some national medical conferences here and there in different countries, but basically I don't want to be making this as a commercial pursuit, but I want to help our Adventist churches to get back on track and let them reach out to the community to help the community. And that's why I'm excited about this church here. We want to be a lighthouse in Grand Terrace and the surrounding areas, right? And it begins with us. Don't tell anybody what to do. Just look in the mirror and say, that's my job. Okay. So look at this here. You can have 1 tube of Pringles, which is 1,000+ calories. 63% of the calories in Pringles is fat. When you eat potato chips, you don't eat potatoes. You eat a little bit of potato starch that's holding together this fat. That's what you do. It's a fatty thing. Please look at this. And you have 1,000 calories in 7 ounces. Look at this. You could have eaten instead. You could have eaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could have eaten 10 potato. That's also 1,000 calories. 10 potatoes or 1 tube of Pringles, same number of calories. Would you get filled up with those? Does that fill you up? No.
One more.
Yeah. And look at this one here. This is 3% fat, God's design. This is man's design, 63% fat. Are you with me, folks? I mean, how can I make it more obvious, right? That we need to go back to a more original design. And please note the price. The price is 10 times higher when you buy Pringles for calories that you eat. 10 times more. And you say, well, I don't have any money. Folks, I hope the pastors are listening what I'm telling you here so that you can save that money and give it to the church. Are the pastors in favor of that? Yeah, okay. And folks, they don't have to pay me. I'm just delighted to be here and to do something for the Lord's work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. You can get the same kind of a program when you go to the Predican program and you spend 4 weeks there in Miami and you spend $10,000 for 4 weeks and you learn the same things that we're trying to teach you here in a compressed fashion here. And because we're doing it as a group and you have support and we'll do a follow-up program. Aren't we really doing this?
Yes, we Yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, we're going to provide support to everyone participating in the program via Zoom. And we have this great community that we work together so that when you're doing your jumpstart, it helps you to be successful because the support and community breeds the success.
Perfect.
And we're doing the Jumpstart, we're doing this tomorrow, right? We're going to teach you tomorrow between 5:15 and 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll teach you the Jumpstart to get on the right program to clean out the system. We detoxify the body. Look, we need to get out of this thing here. You may not realize this, but do you know that the food industry knows exactly how to capture you and how to addict you and how to make you habituated to these products? Do you realize that many of the tobacco companies, as they begin to realize that our cigarettes are on the way out, do you know that they have shifted now towards junk food? Kraft Corporation was bought by Philip Morris, the tobacco giant, because they know exactly what to do. And you know what these tobacco companies know? They know how to trick you in terms of reaching the pleasure centers of your brain so that you cannot just have one Pringle. Have you ever tried to have one Pringle only? I dare you. You mean, yeah, one, two. But I'm talking about one Pringle. Can you do it? Can you do it? You know, it's even hard to get just one donut, isn't it? Because once you got that taste on your tongues, and it's really not the tongue, it's in the brain where the interpretation takes place. It hits your pleasure center, and it makes you feel so, Do you know when you take rats, and you put them into an experiment, you put rats into a cage, and you give them, you don't feed them, and then you give them a choice to eat between, they have a choice. They can either choose the sugary drink, or they can choose the heroin. Do you know what they're going to choose? The sugar. The sugar is much more addictive, and we have underestimated the power that sugar has on our minds in our pleasure centers up here. And then we sometimes look at an overweight person, and we look at them, and we are skinny, and we say, shame, shame, shame. I mean, why don't you push away from the table? What happened to you, you weakling? Hello? Let us be very careful. The whole issue of obesity, we talk about that in one of the lectures, is very complex. It's not that simple, because we have become addicted, habituated to these foods, because we didn't realize that there are large international corporations that are knowing exactly how much sugar to put into a product, how much salt to put into a product, and how much fat to put into a product to make it addictive to you. Are you with me?
Yes.
So let us not look down at a person that's carrying extra weight. Let us just feel empathetic and say, well, you probably just don't know, do you? Yeah. Another victim of corporate greed. Are you with me? Yeah. And so here's a very powerful book, one of the best books I've read in the last 10 years, by Michael Moss. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning author. He wrote the book Salt, Sugar and Fat, and he actually interviewed executives, retired executives that used to work for the big tycoon companies that produce engineered foods. And he said, I went to these retired executives of these corporations because they realized that they were actually poisoning the people. They knew what they were doing. But they were kind of happy to let me have an interview after they were retired because they couldn't be fired anymore, and to let people know what's really going on. One of my colleagues wrote this book, Fast Food Genocide. Genocide, Genocide. What does it mean? Dr. Foreman is a very important pillar in the lifestyle medicine movement. He spoke a couple of years ago here at Loma too. He's all over the world, and he wrote this book, Genocide, and he said the fast food industry is slowly increasing the chronic disease epidemic. Fast food and slow growth of epidemics. You see the contrast? Slow, fast food. When we go to slow food, we can probably begin to arrest this epidemic. We can do something about the increase in breast cancer, the increase in diabetes, the increase in overweight. Are you with me there? Yeah. And so I looked up the word genocide because my natural tongue, my natural language is German. So sometimes I have to look up some of these words. I mean, I know what they mean, sort of, but I wanted to see what it really means. And it says genocide refers to the deliberate killing of a large number of people. When he talks about genocide, he talks about the fast food industry involved in a deliberate effort in killing off a large number of people of a particular nation or ethnic group. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Do you know that our black friends are at a particularly high risk, very vulnerable to this kind of a genocide? Have you ever wondered why our black friends actually have higher rates of prostate cancer, have higher rates of high blood pressure, have higher rates of obesity? And we say, well, it all goes back to the way the white people treated the black people in the 200-300 years ago, right? Well, that might be partly true, but it could also be related to the fact that our black friends are so much more vulnerable to the industry, the food industry, that deliberately puts the fat and salt and sugar into these products and take these people in particular, put them at a higher risk for disease and death. And so it says here, the genocide is a deliberate killing of a large number of people of a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. Wow, this is a powerful book, well documented. There's some 300 scientific references for this. This is not just an opinion piece. When I give you some data here, it's not just some little study that was done on 15 mice. No. We're talking about international studies that have been respected. And I'm talking as a scientist to you, but I give you the message in such method that I hope you can take it home and understand it. Right? Here are some well-known reporters and critics of the literature that is coming out, and they wrote, "This meticulously researched book tells the chilling story of how a processed food industry is making a fortune by slowly poisoning an unwitting population." Are you with me? Genocide, a deliberate effort for commercial gain. Are you with me? Producing foods that's not going to help you. And Adventist people are not immune to these efforts. Let's take a look here. Look at this. Do you remember the Dairy Queen? Yeah, when I was younger, that was a special place to go to, right? Dairy Queen, look, this is a big milkshake. That's 2,000 calories. I said to my wife, honey, at your height of 5'2", 5 feet 2, you need about 1,500, 1,600 calories. You exercise, you need maybe 1,650 calories, 1,650. I said, do you realize if I take you out to treat you, I'll be giving you 2,000 calories. And please note, most of it is sugar and fat. Folks, it's a deadly combination because it's a brilliant taste for the ungenerated mind. And at the end, my wife would say, honey, you're such a wonderful husband. I just love you the way you treat me so sweetly. Yeah. Do you see? It's all unbalanced, isn't it? We've turned white into black and black into white. So this is the American diet, and please take a look here. Please note, about almost 50% of the calories that we eat every day, they come from sugar, from fats and oils, and alcohol from men. So you can see here, sugars and oils, no nutritional value. Please listen to what I said. Fats, oils, no nutritional value. Olive oil, I'll talk about that later. Is olive oil man-made, or is it coming from the hand of the master designer? Man-made. Which comes from the master designer? Olives. Olives okay? Yeah. How about coconuts? Coconuts okay? How about coconut oil? Coconut oil, no? Wow. You're a very intelligent group here. Most people, especially in our Adventist churches, they all think that coconut oil is good. It's white, it's pure, it's clean. God made it. No, it's good. I just bought 5 gallons at Costco. And you're telling me, get rid of it? Yes. It's the most saturated fat that drives your cholesterol in your bloodstream more than anything that you can eat, period. That's worse than a steak or corn or eggs or anything you want to eat. There's nothing worse in driving the cholesterol in your bloodstream than coconut oil. Yeah. Oh, people sometimes get angry with me and they said afterwards, you mean I bought all this stuff and now what I'm supposed to do with it? I said, give it away to the poor. And then they said, oh, you wanted to kill the poor? Okay, so here's the Harvard top man, Dr. Willett, who was the advisor to the famous Adventist health study conducted at Loma University. Dr. Willett is a personal friend of mine. He said, we have gone from foods to products. We no longer eat foods. We no longer eat potatoes, we eat potato chips. We've gone from foods to products, from nutrition to calories. The transition from food to becoming an industrialized product has become a foundational problem, especially in the area of circulation-related diseases like heart disease and strokes and so on. The actual processing of food has stripped it of its nutrition and concentrated its calories with adverse health effects. That's saying it very, very nicely. Right? That's a very sophisticated expression. Okay? And it makes it very clear. Anybody still on duty here in taking care of the special black tarp? Okay. So this is Dr. Willett. No, this is the. I talked to you now about the change in the refined foods, in foods as grown that have turned into. No, don't take it out. No. No, then it's blinding us. Can I help you? Okay, so let me see what I can tell you about these kind of things. Can somebody help him? Hello? Can somebody replace me here? We need more tape. Okay. Very good. Okay. Now let me sort of finish up here now. So we talked about the change that has taken place in our foods that have gone from foods to industrialized products, right? From real food to refined foods, right? Right?
Yes.
From food to junk, more or less, right? So now I want to go to the second big change that has taken place in the area of diet. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I want to take you care of the second big nutritional change in the life of the American nation. Please note, the shift to animal products. We used to eat about 120 some pounds of animal products a year in 1920. Now it's close to 200 pounds. We've almost doubled the consumption of animal products. What are animal products? Give me some examples. Beef, what else? Pork, what else? Salami, what else? Fish. Oh, they told me I shouldn't talk about fish here to an Indonesian group of people. When they go to the Filipino church, they also tell me, don't talk about fish. We need to have our fish. Do we really? Well, it's a cultural thing, I know. But we can change the culture. We have to change the culture, right? So please note, we've seen a dramatic increase in the consumption of animal products because we've been brainwashed to believe that we need to have more protein. Protein is counterproductive to health. We need only about 45 to 55, 60 grams of protein a day. Americans take in about 100 to 120 grams of protein. We're eating twice the amount of protein that we need. And people are still saying, I need to have my meat because I have to get my protein. Folks, bury this one. Bury it. Cover it with dirt. Don't unearth it again. You don't need this protein. Maybe when you get older, you need to perhaps get some extra protein there because many people don't eat that much anymore when they get older. The appetite goes down, and with it you also don't perhaps get quite the protein that you need. So maybe if you're 75, maybe some extra protein might be okay, but you don't need meat. I mean, there's lots of protein in a little bit of tofu, or in all kinds of natural foods. You don't have to worry about this. Please note, would you have guessed that the average meat eater in America consumes in a lifetime 12 cows, 12 cows, from the snout to the tail, 12 cows, 25 hogs, pigs, and 2,400 chickens. And I think many of these chickens are being consumed by my friends from Indonesia and the Philippines. Right? It's a favorite food. Right?
Yeah.
Am I seeing that right? Folks, it's not in our best interest. Especially the way these chickens are raised nowadays. It's inhumane, to say the very least. It's torture. But that's another issue, because my animal-loving friends, they will make a big scene about that. That for reasons of proper treatment, we probably should cut back on these animal products. Please note, this is a report from the World Health Organization. It came out in 2015, and they said, we are declaring, after all the research, that processed meat, what's processed meat? Give me an example, what's a processed meat? Bacon, very good. What else? Hot dogs, right? Processed foods, processed meats are a human carcinogen. What does that mean? Causing cancer. I mean, this is not just scaring people, this is documented by the World Health Organization. It's causing cancer just like tobacco does, asbestos, and arsenic. Hello? Processed meat is just like tobacco or arsenic causing cancer? Right. And they said furthermore, red meat is a probable human carcinogen. They're very careful. They didn't want to brand it as being a cancer-causing substance. Many of us probably would see that as a great possibility, but they said it's probably causing cancer. Well, let's take a look at processed meat. Okay, so you have salamis, you have lunch meat, you have Frankfurt's hot dogs. Look at the hot dog here. And people say to me, well, I need to have my sausages because I need to get my protein, right? Well, let's take a look. Look at this. You're looking at all these these products. Look at this. The hot dog is 85% fat and 50% protein. Folks, don't tell me you need to have these junk foods. Really, that's what I call them, to get your protein. These are high-fat foods. Please note. Ho, ho, ho. Listen. This is science. This is not something that somebody made up to make to lift up vegetarianism. No. As a matter of fact, in our program, we never allow anybody to talk about the V word. We don't. You tell people become a vegan or vegetarian, and they become very offended because you are attacking their personal favors. You don't talk about vegan and vegetarian. You just say, have you ever thought of maybe increasing the consumption of plant foods? And chances are they don't even know what you're talking about, but they will not be offended. Do you see what I mean? And then you talk about, the other thing is, you don't talk about eat junk food. No, you say, have you ever thought of maybe increasing your whole foods? They don't know what that means. What's a whole food? Are potato chips a whole food?
No.
Are potatoes a whole food?
Yes.
Well, you can boil it down to just a very simple formula. If it comes out of the hand of a master designer, if it comes out of nature, it's usually a whole food. When it gets into the hands of a manufacturing processing industry, then it becomes refined foods. Then look at the meats here now. This is now red. This is corned beef, sirloin. Look at the sirloin steak is 75% fat, and you said, "Well, I have to have my sirloin steak because I have to get my." Really? Hey, you are addicted to the fats, and you're addicted to the things that they do with the steaks. If you would just eat the meat as it comes in nature, and you fry it or whatever you do with it, it doesn't taste very good. You have to add all the. What do you add to the steak? Salt. What else? Worcestershire sauce. I don't know. I'm not a specialist in that area, so.
Butter.
Yeah, you put all the kind of flavor ingredients into it that makes it taste good. We need to get out of this. Look at spare ribs, 80% fat. And then here you see is a famous physician friend of mine, Dr. Connor. He said 75% of the fat that we eat is hidden. Where's the fat? In? Where's the fat? Where's it hidden? It's found in? Where's it found? Meat. Meat is 80%, 75% fat. We don't even think about that. You say, well, I just trim it off. I cut it all off. No. So you go from 80% down to 60% because the fat is between the muscle fibers and the meat. I mean, you have that hot dog. I mean, that's 85% fat. Shh. Come on. He said, did you know that a half box of extra crispy chicken is equal to 18 pats of butter? You didn't think that chicken would have that much fat when you have it fried for you already and you buy it already roasted and so on, right? It's 18 pats of butter. Is it a shock? Is it? It was a shock to me. So where do you find most of the fat? Remember that 50% of all the fat that we eat is found in meat, poultry, fish, and dairy. Another 31% is found in salad oils and shortening. And then you have another 7% in margarine and others. But please note, these are the big issues here. If you already cut back on fats to lower your weight and so on, and to have better health, really be careful with these kind of products here. And be careful also with your salad oils and shortenings. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this is what we do. We have a beautiful salad, right? Boston lettuce. Oh, I love this. And you have some tomatoes in there, and you have some, what else do you put in the salad? Cucumbers, onions. You make a really good salad, and then you spoil it with a dressing on top. The blue. Oh, you know these things, right? See? You just bury the good nature of nutrients by covering it up with all this gooey stuff. And it's a culture. We do this. We didn't do it on purpose. It's just part of dressing, low salt, low fat. There are ways to do it. We'll teach you some of these things. And your taste buds begin to adjust. It will just take about 3-4 weeks. Taste buds can change because the taste buds are directed by the brain to interpret what you eat. And I'm sorry to tell you, you'll probably hate me that I gave you all this information today and the next few days, because your brain is going to be changing and your taste begins to change, and you will no longer even hanker for those foods that are not in your best interest. Okay. Here you have now dairy foods. Look at this. Milk is 50% fat. 50% of the calories in milk is fat. Surprise, isn't it? Then you have cheese. Cheese is 71% fat. Do you see what Dr. Connor said? Most of the fat is hidden. We don't even realize it. Cheese is 71% fat, 65 to 80%. In 1970, something happened to the consumption of cheese. What do you think happened? We went from about 10 pounds to 40 pounds per person per year. How did we increase the cheese consumption so rapidly? What happened? What do you think happened? What happened is that the people began to understand that milk is high in fat and saturated fat, which drives the cholesterol. So the people in the nation began to eat less of the whole milk. They began to take 2% or skim milk. What do you think the industry did with all the extra fat that they skimmed off? Put it into? Cheese, yeah. Do you see what happened? Do you see the executive at home? Hey! Not a nice man, right? But do you hear me? No more whole milk. Yes, sir. No. Let me have a cheeseburger. Do you understand? It doesn't make sense, does it? He doesn't want to have the whole milk, period, but then he wants to have the cheeseburger. Folks, we have not put it together very, very well. And so the cheese has become really the big success story in our society in terms of commercial success. And please note, the #1 source of saturated fat is cheese. Remember I talked to you about coconut oil? Saturated fat. But nothing compares in terms of the amount that we eat coming from cheese, saturated fat. So if you really want to do something about your prostate cancer, cut back on cheese. Cheese is the #1 factor that is identified to contribute to the driving of prostate cancer in men. Saturated fat, directly associated with heart disease and atherosclerosis. So I want to take another 10 minutes and we'll probably close at around 5:10, okay? Saturation of fats. Remember, we talk about saturated fats, right? Saturated fats drive the cholesterol that's produced by the liver. Are you with me? Are you with me there? Saturated fat drives the liver to produce excess cholesterol. That's the #1 factor that drives the cholesterol in your bloodstream. Okay? Are you with me there? Now let's go and take a look. Saturation of fat. Canola oil is 8% saturation, which is not too bad. Sunflower is 10%. Olive oil is 50% saturation. Soya bean is 16%. Beef tallow, beef fat is 50% saturation. Butter and milk is 63% saturation. Palm oil is 78% saturation. And what's the last one? How much? 92% saturation. What drives heart disease? Especially these kind of products here, especially those here. But not in your best interest because every oil has 9 calories per gram. Do you see this here? If you want to lose weight, that's where most of the calories are, in fat. Don't come to me and say, well, I can't eat bread anymore because fat makes me fat. People come to me and say, I'll come from. The facts are, overweight is related largely to the Caribbean. There was a man that was actually developed, he was a musician. He would write a music composition and then he goes to his home and he would make it into a song. And here's a song that he wrote after he listened to one of my lectures. Listen to this.
I want to share it with you so that the next time you eat out or eat in general, you will be able to make a well-informed decision. A gram of fat has 9 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. How's that? 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. A gram of fat has 9 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. That's a fact. Alright, watch it. Corn oil, 9 calories. Sunflower fries, 9 calories. A gram of fries, 9 calories. Just 1 gram of fries, 9 calories. That's that. Canola oil, 9 calories. Fish oil, 9 calories. Animal oil, 9 calories. I really don't believe it. No, try this. Look at it. Coconut oil, 9 calories. Olive oil, 9 calories. Virgin olive oil, 9 calories. Well, I'm not waiting till they say it. 1 gram of fries, 9 calories. A gram of fries, 9 calories. Just 1 gram of fries, 9 calories. That's that. 1 gram of fries, 9 calories. A gram of fries, 9 calories. Just 1 gram of fries, 9 calories. That's a fry.
Yes.
I told him, you made your point. This is the American diet. Please note, we're moving now in summarizing what we've talked about. Please note, 63% of all the calories that we eat comes from refined foods, high in calories, low in nutrition. Then please note, of the healthy foods, the whole foods here, the plant-based foods, even there, half of the calories are, again, refined, turned into junk food. So then you have another 25% of the calories that we eat comes from dairy and animal products. That means only 6% of all the calories that we eat in America today, 6% of all the calories we eat in America today, only 6% of the calories we eat in America today comes from foods as grown. Foods that are made and produced by nature, not refined and changed by manufacturing processes. This is the American diet. This is the diet now that you have in Lithuania, which you didn't have until they kicked out the Russians and brought in the Americans in terms of their Western diet. Here again is Dr. Willett from Harvard. He said researchers have long known that the major drivers of our killer disease are dietary and lifestyle factors. Let me just give you a quick overview here. This is the heart. Usually when you have heart disease, there's nothing wrong with the heart in general, but what mostly is giving us the trouble are these coronary arteries on top of the heart muscle, and they become filled with cholesterol and fats. So instead of having a big wide open diameter so the blood can flow through here, it becomes shrink down to only about 30–40%. So this now can easily plug up with a blood clot, and then you can no longer drive the blood coming to the heart muscle, and we call this then a heart attack. It means oxygen starvation. Are you with me there? Yes. Let me give you some video clip. This is 50 years old. It's the best clip I've ever seen. It's the best clip I have in my archives.
I first woke up, so to speak, when I was working on the anesthesia service, learning how to put people to sleep. And I was seeing my patients for the next day's surgery, for coronary artery bypass surgery, in order to bypass clogged arteries in their heart. Because it was late at night, I drew the man's blood test, and when I took the blood to the laboratory and had it processed, I couldn't believe my eyes. Now normally, this liquid layer floating on top of the blood clot is quite transparent. It's yellow, but quite clear. You can see right through it. The blood in this patient's tube, however, was anything but clear. The serum floating on his clot was thick and greasy white. It looked like glue. In fact, it stuck to the sides of the blood tube when I shook the tube. I went back to the patient. I said, Mr. Phillips, did you eat before you came to the hospital tonight? He said, yes. I said, what did you have? He said, I had a cheeseburger and a milkshake. Oh. And when he said that, I realized that what I was looking at in his tube was all the fat in the beef burger, all the butter fat in the cheese, and the butter fat in the ice cream and in the milkshake. And all this fat had oozed out into his blood and actually turned his blood fatty. Well, 30, 40, 50 years of keeping your blood very fatty creates changes in the blood vessels that are very dangerous. Over the years, arteries can become clogged with fatty material. Then a blood clot can form, blocking the blood flow completely. If the artery leads to the heart, the lack of oxygen can cause heart muscle to die. That's a heart attack. If the clogged artery leads to the brain, the patient has a stroke. The next morning, we took Mr. Phillips to the operating room, and I put him to sleep, and the surgeon opened up his chest. And from these arteries, he began pulling out yellow, greasy deposits of fatty material called atherosclerosis.
Do you want to see this again?
Yes. Over and over again.
This is the #1 underlying cause of most of our circulation-related diseases because it narrows the arteries. Do you have any idea how many miles of blood vessels are in the human body? Would you guess? Be courageous.
How many miles?
How many miles of blood vessels in the human body? 6 miles, okay, that's a good guess. How about Bonar? How many miles of blood vessels in the body? 10 miles, okay. How many miles of blood vessels in the human body?
60. Wow.
That's what I did.
Okay, you notice it's getting higher and higher. People are getting more and more courageous. Actually, we have 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the human body. 60,000 miles. And most of these vessels are capillaries that are thinner than your hair. So in the old days when we used to have a wet shaver, you cut yourself, you nicked yourself, it was bleeding. These are all the tiny, tiny blood vessels that are underneath the skin, right here. These blood vessels are everywhere because they bring the nutrients to every one of those trillions of cells that make up you, who are wonderfully and fearfully made. This is what you see in the larger vessels. We're born with clean vessels. There's no obstruction there. By the time you're 45 years of age, you have already 50-60% narrowing. By the time you're 70 years of age, you have 70% narrowing of the coronary arteries. And then all it takes now is a blood clot, and you have a heart attack, because you can no longer bring blood to the heart itself, and the heart begins to starve for oxygen, and it turns blue and dies. That's heart attack. The first sign of this disease, the first sign of heart disease, the first sign is death. And if you survive that attack, you're very fortunate. If you have angina pain, you have chest pain as you're walking the stairs, you're very lucky. You should thank the Lord because He's sending you a warning. You are on your way to getting this cleared, not cleared, but closed, that you see here. Because when you have angina pain, you are guaranteed to have probably 70 to 80% narrowing of the coronary arteries. That's stunning, isn't it? But you see, it's not just the coronary arteries that are affected in getting closed down more and more as we, live this great American lifestyle. Please note, there are many, many diseases. They are all over your body because your circulatory system is going everywhere. And the larger vessels, when they become narrowed down, they develop the diseases. They have different names. They're being treated by different specialists in the medical profession. But there's also basically one underlying disease process, and that's called atherosclerosis, narrowing and hardening of the arteries. You know, that's why when a person comes to me and says, actually, sir, I don't really know how to tell you this, but the man is 51 years of age, and he says, well, things are not working too well below the belt. I know what he's talking about. He said, is that age related? Well, I said it can be, but it's largely related to atherosclerosis of the penile arteries. The penile arteries, the arteries in the penis of the man, are they're small. They're smaller than the coronary arteries. So when he tells me that I have some things are looking kind of going south, I know that this man is on his way to a heart attack because if it affects the penile arteries, I know that it's also going to be affecting the coronary arteries, the arteries to the brain, and the arteries to the kidneys. They're all affected, and to the feet. And you talk about neuropathies, where you can't even put any cloth or anything on your feet because it hurts so badly and burns. Folks, this is one disease. It's not many diseases. People come to me and say, how come by the time I turn 60, I develop heart disease, I have problems with my memory, I have TIAs, I have kidney disease, the doctor said it's developing, and I cannot walk anymore very well because my calf muscles are clamping up. Folks, it's just one disease. It's not many diseases. It's just the expression, the clinical expression of a disease called atherosclerosis. So if you don't remember anything about today's 2 hours, I want you to really remember this and take this home. And so then, therefore, the heart attacks and the angina and the cerebral infarction, the stroke, and the senility and the hearing loss and visual loss and high blood pressure and gangrene, impotence, claudication, all of these are one basic underlying disease process called... Now, let me take you back to what this lady said earlier here. She came into our program some 8 months ago. So she said something about what happened to your eyes?
I can see now. I don't need no more glasses.
So she talked about that her vision had significantly improved. Do you see this here? Visual loss related to, in part at least, atherosclerosis. Then she talked about something about hearing, right?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay. So that has much improved for you?
Yes, I can hear.
Do you see now what's happening here? Do you know what her cholesterol is now? It's way down, and no medication, because she knows how to make the dietary changes. You know, we talked about high blood pressure. Well, the arteries are getting narrowed, so the blood pressure has to go higher to push the blood through these narrowed arteries. Are you with me there? Are you seeing what's happening? And of course, that's directly related to kidney disease. So they're all running together in a school, in a group. So don't be surprised when you have many of these things happening more and more often. It starts maybe in a man with impotence, and some other things are happening there. Sometimes it's first a heart attack, sometimes it's first impotence. You know, it depends. And mind you, it's not just all related to the diet. There are other factors that also make a contribution there. So you know, sometimes poor marital relationships in terms of social relationships, communications, stress, that all can of course contribute to impotence and so on. And so when we are focusing on diet today, it's the major factor, but there are many contributing factors as well. So I want to make sure that I mention that to you. Please note, these are then the risk factors to atherosclerosis. The number one factor is LDL cholesterol. Remember, number one, cholesterol. Number two, smoking and blood pressure. They drive this disease, atherosclerosis. And then you have diabetes. That's why diabetes and disease of the arteries is directly related. And the diabetes makes the atherosclerotic process go worse. And then you have obesity, again, triglycerides, inactivity, stress, and genetics. But genetics is just a small factor, maybe 1 or 2 or 3%. The rest is all related to our lifestyle. And please note something else here. And that is, please note, many of these risk factors are related to our diet. Diet, lips. Are you with me? What passes through your lips? Big time. Just to give you some idea. So if you have a high cholesterol, you have high blood pressure, you're a smoker, you have diabetes, you have treadmill test, you're 35 years of age, men, and the chance of a heart attack in 6 years is 14% that you will have a heart attack in 6 years with this profile. Then, if however you make the change, then you have ideal cholesterol under 160, low blood pressure, no smoking, no diabetes, you pass the treadmill test very well, you're 35 years of age, you only have about 0.1% likelihood of developing a heart attack. Which means that this risk factor profile increases the likelihood of a heart attack in 6 years by 140 times. Are you listening?
Yeah.
You say, well, my husband, he was always such a nice looking, healthy looking guy, and suddenly he has a heart attack. It's gone. Well, wait a minute. Look at this. Have you checked his cholesterol recently? Did you know what his blood pressure was? You know, what about his stress levels? And all of a sudden you see his chances of a heart attack was 140 times higher with this profile than this one, and somehow nobody ever told him. And when he's gone, well, his father died of a heart attack too, so it must be running in the family. Folks, we're not just passing on the genes only, we're also passing on the diet from generation to generation. Are you with me there?
Yeah.
Right? So to blame everything on genes, so and sometimes the doctor even says, well, you probably have a genetic thing, and that gets the patient off the hook. He doesn't feel so badly about that he has failed himself, but it's not really helping the patient. Here's Dr. Goto. He said our cholesterol should ideally be below less than 160. Here's a big study that shows that the higher the cholesterol in the body, the higher the likelihood of a coronary death. You can see the difference is 5 times more death from heart disease based on the cholesterol levels alone between 140 versus 290. So the cholesterol is very, very important. And yet we recommend here in America that up to 200 is normal. That's here. That puts you already at a higher risk for death rates. Here's another one. Please write this down. About 80% or more of our coronary deaths could be avoided if we would really get our cholesterol down and do something about smoking and diabetes. So what drives the cholesterol? Cholesterol is determined by animal products. You cannot find cholesterol in peanut butter. Do you remember that was on the test? And many of you wrote down, oh, the cholesterol is determined by the peanut butter. No, there's no cholesterol in non-animal products. Cholesterol is only found in animal products, cholesterol. But then you also have to worry about the saturated fats. Do you remember that we talked about that? Saturated fat. Saturated fat is always thick and sticky and hard. Non-saturated fat is liquid. Coconut oil, when you buy it, you open it up, what do you find on top? No, not the oil. No, what do you find on top? Coconut oil. It's hard, it's white, sticky, hardened fat. It's saturation. Now this is what we can tell you. You can bring the cholesterol down by 20% in just 3-4 weeks by making some dietary changes. We can help you to understand this much easier to take some animals like some monkeys. And monkeys in many ways have many similarities to us in terms of our biology. And you can actually take monkeys and you feed them an animal, a hospital diet. That's all you need to do. Put them on a hospital diet, and these monkeys would be dead in 2-3 years. You can create heart attacks in monkeys. All you have to do is give them, here's Dr. Connor, he said, all you have to do is give them lots of saturated fat and cholesterol that you find in animal products. That's all you need to do. And you can kill those monkeys in 2-3 years. We do the same thing with humans, except it takes 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So we don't put it together that there's a relationship there. There it is. These are some of the best researchers we have in the country. Dr. Castelli, he said if you want to create heart disease in these monkeys, all you have to do is feed them a typical hospital diet. Hospital diets are not giving you health, I'm sorry. Why do they do it? It's the culture. We don't want to make the patients unhappy. We want them to come back.
That's right.
Folks, I'm closing with this slide here. 70% of our stroke, 71% of our cancers, 82% of our heart disease, 91% of our diabetes is directly related to our lifestyle and is totally preventable. Please note, this is published by some of the best researchers. They said 70 to 90% of our chronic diseases are totally avoidable, can be prevented if we made some lifestyle changes. And here's the Secretary of Health and Human Services from the government, the US government. Our nation's largest killer diseases are largely lifestyle related. They can be prevented, they can be delayed. All you need to do is you need to make some changes in your behavior. No alcohol, no tobacco, lots of exercise, and be careful with our rich American diet. Are you with me? Okay, let me show you the last slide here. This is especially for our Adventist friends in the audience here. And there's a special lady, a famous author, who wrote way back in 1863. Now this is now 160 years ago, right? She wrote to the Adventist church leaders. She said, "I saw many sickly among the church members who made themselves sick by indulging their appetites." It's pretty strong, powerful words, isn't it? If we want to have good health, we must take special care of the health that God has given us. Healthy by choice, not by chance. She said, we must deny the unhealthy and perverted appetite. I tell you, that's amazing to have those insights 160 years ago, which is now the latest science. How did she know these? We must deny the unhealthy and perverted appetite. Remember I talked to you about the culture is sucking us in? We need to eat more coarse food. What's coarse mean? Fiber, lots of roughage, right? They didn't have a word for it in the 1860s where you could use the word refined, because there was no refined foods. Refined foods basically came into existence particularly in the 1970s. But she talked about eat more coarse food and eat food that is free of grease, free of fats and oils. She said that in 1863, folks. Let me give you the last slide here. This is the latest information. This is a big study that came out in one of the medical journals. It says if you want to eliminate 50% of our diabetes and heart disease and stroke, you have to increase fruits 3 times, eat 2 to 4 times more vegetables and legumes, eat twice as much nuts and seeds, increase whole grains by 6 times, and really cut back on meats. How much? No more than 3 ounces a week. How much is 3 ounces? Do you know how much 3 ounces is? Forget it. It's too much trouble. Just let it go. I always tell people, put the meat at the edge of your plate. And if it falls over, it's even better for you. Processed meats, 0. This is a scientific report. This is not written by Adventists. This is science. This is in the medical journals. Processed meats, 0. Sugary beverages, 0. Salt, cut it in half. I think it's good counsel. And so what we want you to do is begin to think in terms of this picture here. Do you see, this is the worst of health that you have. You have worst of health, the best of health. The worst of health comes with meats, dairy, eggs, processed foods, and sodium, alcohol, and caffeine, and soda. The best of health comes by eating more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, some nuts and seeds, and water. That's what we recommend. When you say, well, I'm sorry, sir, but we cannot make those big changes here. That's too much. I understand. That's why I put this slide together here, and I say, why don't you begin to cut back on the red diet, on the red label, the triangle, and begin to eat more of the foods in the green, and ultimately you get used to it. You will love it. And your food bill will decrease. You cut the food bill in half by moving more into this direction here. So it's on the test. Because I ask you there, when you eat more healthfully, will this increase or decrease your food budget? And many of you said it will increase it. No, healthy foods are cheaper. So therefore, the question is, okay, I already have heart disease, I already have overweight, I don't know what to do. It's too late for me now, right? It's not worth doing it. And the answer comes here. If I already have these diseases and I make the changes, what would happen? What would happen? I'll tell you tomorrow afternoon. Okay? But let me give you the final little song here, and that's the last thing. Okay.
One more.
This. Oh.
One more thing.
Okay.
Yes, we all want to be healthy. Let's give a big hand to Dr. Diehl. All right. I have a few more things to ask you. Some of you are keeping the paper clip papers, okay? Can you please put in the receptions or give me? Because Dr. Hans will examine your papers individually and then give counseling accordingly. So please give to me. That's number one. Number two, I would like to remind you again, tomorrow we are going to be at the fellowship hall where we did the blood test and and then come earlier between 2:30 to well, if possible earlier than 2:50. Remember, we're going to do the devotional. And then if you have any questions for today's lecture, you can leave your question over there. And then let me see what else do I have to. I think that's all for the thing. And then since tomorrow is going to be the jump start, so I'm going to let Betty to explain to you what to expect.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Betty, and what we're going to be doing tomorrow, you'll be learning more about the Jump Start and what it entails. And so throughout the week, we will be offering support to you as you're doing the Jump Start. The Jump Start is basically us implementing what Dr. Diehl has been talking about. It's a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle that we're engaging in. And so as a group, you will meet with myself and Bernita, who is my colleague. You met her last week. We will be on Zoom. We'll be on Monday. On Monday, January 30th from 7 to 7:45. And then Tuesday from 7 to 7:45 in the evening on Zoom. and then Thursday, February 2nd from 7 to 8. So we have a group of people that are there to support you. We're going to start the Jumpstart on Monday, January 30th through Monday, February 5th. And we have a great support team, and we all work together because it's not an easy process, but again, with God, all things are possible. So we're going to do this together as a team, and we're going to help each other succeed. So we look forward to you joining us. I have a few copies of this for those of you who haven't joined us in the past on the program, and it's good. I see many of you taking pictures. I recommend that as well. And for anyone that really has computer difficulties, if you come to me, I'll send you the link. That way you can just push a button and you will be on the Zoom call with us. So we're really excited to have all of you joining us. I just want to thank Dr. Diehl and Dr. Shirley, Dr. Enyo for just putting together such a great program for all of us. It's such a blessing. And so I look forward to you joining us throughout the week. Yes?
Do you have to join every day? Or?
You don't have to. You don't have to. The beauty in joining is when you're doing something like this, it's not easy. And so when you come on the Zoom call, you have other people who are going through the same thing as you. They're trying to make all the same changes. And so together we give each other encouragement. So as many days as you can, like maybe you can't come each day, but as much as you can, we love to have you. Okay. Any questions? Yes. Oh, okay. It is right behind this building. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Betty. Yes, so we'll see you tomorrow. All right, and please wear your name tag every day, okay? So Dr. Diehl can ask you questions. Just on random. Yeah. All right. Before we depart, why don't we ask Pastor Starla to offer the benediction for us to drive safely home?
Let's just bow our heads. Lord, thank you for all the things that we learned. Some of them are surprising to us, others we've known. I ask, Father, that you will give us courage and willingness to begin this new start. And now, Father, I ask that you bless every person as they go home. Keep them safe and keep their hearts in good cheer. Thank you for being with us always. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for coming this afternoon, and please help yourself with the water.